The rain fell softly as Mary Thompson stared intently at her laptop screen. A fleeting image flickered. A boy, no older than 8, wearing a worn blue jacket. Her heart pounded. Could this be the first real sign of her missing son in 4 long years? Mary Thompson, a determined investigative journalist known for uncovering hidden truths, now lives a quieter life in Portland. Haunted by the loss of her son, she channels her relentless spirit into finding answers, refusing to let hope fade despite years of uncertainty and silence. Please comment where you are watching from and hit the like button if this story moves you. Your support means a lot to us as we share these heartfelt journeys. Mary Thompson was known in journalism circles as a fearless investigative reporter. At 38, she had built a career uncovering stories that others were too afraid to touch. Her sharp instincts and unwavering dedication earned her respect, but nothing prepared her for the personal tragedy that would redefine her life. 4 years ago, her world shattered when her 7-year-old son, Ethan, vanished without a trace from their neighborhood park in Portland, Oregon. Since then, Mary traded in her bustling newsroom for a quiet apartment overlooking the city's rain-soaked streets. The once vibrant woman now carried the weight of loss in her eyes, but behind her calm demeanor burned a fierce determination. She spends her days piecing together fragments of information, scraps of leads, whispers from the city's underbelly, searching for any hint of Ethan's whereabouts. Though the public saw her as broken, Mary refused to surrender. Her skills as a journalist became her armor, her weapon against the unknown. Despite the solitude, Mary's spirit remained unbroken. The silence that surrounded her son's disappearance only fueled her resolve to uncover the truth. Each morning, as the gray clouds hung low over Portland, she reminded herself that hope was not lost. Somewhere, beyond the shadows and the silence, Ethan was waiting to be found. Portland was a city of contrasts. Rainy skies, towering evergreens, and vibrant streets alive with art and music. For Mary, it was both sanctuary and reminder. The city's quiet neighborhoods and familiar routines offered some comfort, but every corner seemed to whisper memories of the past she couldn't escape. Her small apartment sat on the edge of the city, overlooking a park where Ethan used to play. The worn wooden bench near the playground, the towering oak swaying in the wind, all relics of a time when life felt whole. Now, those places echoed with absence. Mary's days were filled with a delicate balance between routine and obsession. Freelance writing kept her mind sharp, but much of her time was spent scanning news reports, police updates, and missing children databases. Each new lead brought a surge of hope, followed by the familiar ache of disappointment. Though surrounded by the bustling energy of Portland streets, Mary often felt isolated. Friends had drifted away, unable to handle the constant pain she carried. Yet she remained fiercely independent, refusing to let grief define her. The city's gray skies mirrored her mood, but beneath them, a stubborn ember of hope burned brightly. In this city of rain and resilience, Mary fought an invisible battle. Every sunset marked another day spent searching, waiting, and believing. Portland was not just her home, it was the backdrop of her relentless journey to bring Ethan back. One quiet evening, as Mary scrolled through her social media feed, a short video caught her eye. It was shaky and grainy, but unmistakable. A young boy, about 8 years old, wandering through a busy market street in Seattle. The boy wore a faded blue jacket, the same style Ethan had loved years ago. Mary's breath caught. The boy's features were blurred, but there was something hauntingly familiar in his hesitant steps and the way he glanced over his shoulder. The video had gone viral overnight, shared by dozens with comments speculating about the child's identity. Unable to resist, Mary watched the clip again and again. She noticed a small scar on the boy's left cheek, a detail only she would recognize from old family photos. Her heart pounded as hope surged through her veins. Could this be her son? After 4 years of silence, a single frame had shattered the walls of despair. Despite the low quality, the video gave Mary a tangible lead for the first time in years. She jotted down the location and reached out to the person who posted it, desperate for any information. The response was vague, but enough to set her plan in motion. This unexpected glimpse reignited Mary's determination. She knew the path ahead would be fraught with uncertainty, but the chance to find Ethan was worth every risk. That night, As rain pattered softly against her window, Mary packed a small bag, ready to leave Portland and follow the faintest trail toward her son. The following morning, Mary woke before dawn, her mind racing with plans and possibilities. She knew Seattle wasn't close, more than a 3-hour drive, but the spark of hope burning inside her left no room for hesitation. Every moment she waited felt like a moment lost. She began by researching every detail she could find about the video's origin. The poster was an amateur videographer named Jason, who often captured street life in the city. After a series of emails filled with cautious questions and guarded answers, Jason agreed to meet her in person. Mary's investigative instincts kicked into high gear. She mapped out the neighborhoods surrounding the market where the video was filmed, noting places where a child might be vulnerable or hidden. She reached out to local community centers, shelters, and even online forums, seeking anyone who might have seen or known the boy. With a worn notebook in hand, Mary also compiled photos of Ethan, both recent and from before his disappearance. She prepared herself mentally and emotionally for what lay ahead, recognizing that the road to finding her son would be complex, confusing, and painful. Her friends had long stopped asking about Ethan. The silence from them was a quiet reminder of how isolated her journey had become. But Mary refused to be alone in this fight. She reached out to John Miller, a private investigator with a reputation for finding missing children. John responded quickly, his experience and calm demeanor providing a much-needed anchor. Together they agreed to travel to Seattle. Mary felt a mixture of relief and apprehension, relief to finally be taking action, and apprehension about confronting the unknown. As she closed the door behind her that morning, Mary carried more than just a small bag. She carried years of grief, unyielding hope, and the fierce love of a mother determined to bring her son home. The memory of that day haunted Mary every waking moment. It was a crisp autumn afternoon when Ethan had gone to the neighborhood park to play with his friends. The sun cast long shadows across the swings and slides, and laughter echoed through the air. Mary had trusted that familiar place, the park just a few blocks from their home, never imagining it could become a scene of heartbreak. Without warning, Ethan vanished. One moment he was there, chasing a soccer ball, the next, gone. Witnesses recalled a suspicious man lurking near the edge of the park, but descriptions were vague, and no one had gotten a clear look. Despite frantic searches and pleas for help, the trail quickly grew cold. Mary threw herself into every available lead, working with local police, contacting missing children organizations, and distributing countless flyers. Days turned into weeks, weeks into months, and then years. The ache of not knowing was a constant companion. She often replayed the last moment she saw Ethan in her mind, searching for clues she might have missed. Friends and neighbors offered sympathy, but eventually moved on, unable to bear the pain that refused to fade. Though her world had narrowed to this singular loss, Mary refused to give up. The park where Ethan disappeared remained a bittersweet landmark, a place of joy turned to sorrow. It was here that her fight began, and it was here she promised herself she would one day find him. Amidst the long search, Mary found an unexpected ally in John Miller, a seasoned private investigator known for his success in missing children cases. John had a reputation for persistence and empathy, qualities that resonated deeply with Mary's own determination. Their first meeting was cautious. John listened carefully as Mary recounted every detail of Ethan's disappearance and the years since. Though skeptical of new leads, John saw the fire in Mary's eyes and agreed to join her on this new journey, sparked by the viral video. John's experience brought fresh perspective. He introduced Mary to investigative techniques she hadn't considered, from digital footprint analysis to community outreach. Together, they began piecing together a web of clues that stretched beyond Portland and Seattle. John also connected Mary with local support groups and counselors specializing in trauma recovery for families of missing children. These new relationships offered emotional sustenance in the midst of relentless uncertainty. As Mary and John planned their next steps, the weight of the past lingered, but hope flickered brighter. The partnership marked a turning point. No longer alone in her quest, Mary felt a renewed strength. Together, they prepared to confront the shadows hiding Ethan, ready to uncover the truth, no matter how difficult it might be. Mary and John spent days tracking the boy from the video, piecing together sightings and whispers from local residents. Their efforts led them to a small community center on the outskirts of Seattle, a place where children without stable homes often gathered. One afternoon, Mary spotted him, an uncertain, shy boy sitting quietly in the corner, his blue jacket worn but familiar. Her heart clenched. She approached slowly, careful not to startle him, but his eyes darted away, shadowed with fear. John watched closely as Mary tried to engage the boy, showing him pictures of Ethan and speaking softly. The boy's reaction was guarded, hesitant. His silence spoke volumes. He seemed torn between trust and an instinctive wariness, as if hiding something deeper. Despite the physical resemblance and subtle scars that matched Ethan's old photos, the boy's refusal to speak about his past fueled Mary's frustration and doubt. Was this truly her son, or just a child caught in another's web of deception? Mary's determination clashed with the boy's silence. She grappled with the painful uncertainty, how to bridge the gap between recognition and reality when words failed. The tension grew, not just between mother and boy, but within Mary's own heart. As days passed, small moments of connection flickered, a shared smile, a tentative touch, but the truth remained elusive. Mary knew that before she could bring Ethan home, she had to break through the walls he'd built to protect himself. Over the following weeks, Mary dedicated herself to gently earning the boy's trust. Each day she brought small gifts, favorite snacks, books with colorful pictures, and shared stories about the world beyond the community center. Her voice was steady but warm, an anchor in the boy's uncertain life. Slowly, the boy began to respond. He watched Mary closely, his guarded eyes softening in moments of quiet curiosity. He allowed brief touches on his shoulder and started to linger near her during activities. Mary saw glimpses of Ethan's spirit flickering beneath layers of fear and confusion. Despite these hopeful signs, the boy remained hesitant to speak about his past or even his name. Mary understood this silence as a shield, protecting him from pain and betrayal he couldn't yet face. She didn't rush, knowing that healing required patience. Their bond deepened in shared moments, a gentle laugh over a clumsy game, the boy's fingers tracing the edges of a photo album Mary carried. Mary spoke often of home and family, planting seeds of memory in the boy's heart. At times, tears welled in Mary's eyes when the boy recoiled or turned away, but she held on to hope. The love between them, though strained, was undeniable. Mary believed that with time the boy would reclaim his past, and with it, their family. Every day was a step forward, a fragile bridge built from trust, patience, and unwavering love. After days of careful surveillance and gathering clues, Mary and John pinpointed the location where the kidnapper was hiding, a dilapidated warehouse near the waterfront, shrouded in fog and shadows. The building stood isolated, its broken windows and rusted doors a silent testament to forgotten secrets. Under the cover of night, Mary and John approached cautiously, their hearts pounding. The air was thick with tension, every creak and whisper amplified in the stillness. Inside, muffled voices and the faint sound of footsteps confirmed their worst fears. Suddenly, a figure appeared, tall, imposing, with a cold glare that froze Mary in place. The kidnapper was alert, his eyes scanning the darkness. John stepped forward, trying to reason, but the man's hostility was immediate and fierce. A tense standoff ensued, filled with sharp words and desperate pleas. Mary's voice wavered, but held steady as she called out, appealing to any shred of humanity in the man. The kidnapper sneered, warning them to leave or face consequences. But Mary's resolve was unshaken. She refused to back down, her focus fixed on the safety of the boy trapped inside. With John's help, she devised a quick plan to distract the kidnapper while they secured the boy's escape. The moment was razor thin, adrenaline surging as Mary made the move. The kidnapper lunged, but John was ready. A struggle ensued, sharp and chaotic, before the man was subdued. As sirens wailed in the distance, Mary scooped the frightened boy into her arms. Relief and fear mingled, but the fight was far from over. The boy trembled in Mary's arms, his eyes wide with confusion and fear. For years, he had lived in shadows, unsure whom to trust. Now, faced with the mother he barely remembered, his emotions were a storm. Hope battling with uncertainty, love tangled with fear. Mary whispered soothing words, her voice gentle but firm. She promised safety, warmth, and a chance to rebuild a life together. Yet the boy's hesitation lingered. The past had left scars deeper than anyone could see. And surrendering to hope was not easy. At times he recoiled from her touch, haunted by memories of the man who had kept him captive. Yet slowly, moments of connection broke through. A shy smile, a tentative hand reaching out. Mary recognized these as small victories, fragile steps toward healing. Inside, the boy wrestled with identity. Was he truly Ethan? Could he reclaim the childhood stolen from him? The questions weighed heavily, threatening to overwhelm. Mary knew the path ahead would demand patience, love, and understanding. The decision to trust her was his alone, but she vowed to stand beside him, no matter how long it took. In the quiet aftermath of the rescue, amidst tears and whispered promises, a fragile bond began to form. A mother and son, united by love and the courage to face the future together. Days after the rescue, Mary and John sat in a sterile clinic room, anxiously awaiting the results of the DNA test. The boy, quiet but visibly exhausted, sat close to Mary, clutching her hand as if it were a lifeline. The sterile silence was broken only by the soft hum of machines and the occasional rustle of paper. Mary's heart raced, every second stretching into an eternity. This test held the power to confirm what she dared only hope, that this frightened child was truly her son, Ethan. When the lab technician finally returned, a gentle smile eased some of the tension. "The results are conclusive," she said softly. "This is indeed your son." Relief crashed over Mary in waves. Tears streamed down her face as she embraced Ethan, the reality finally settling in. After years of uncertainty, the boy in her arms was the missing piece she had been searching for. John, watching the reunion, felt a profound respect for Mary's unwavering strength. The DNA confirmation was not just scientific proof, it was the validation of a mother's love and unyielding hope. In that moment, the long, painful journey took a turn toward healing. The future was still uncertain, but for the first time in years, Mary dared to dream of new beginnings with her son by her side. With the DNA test confirming the boy's identity, law enforcement wasted no time. The kidnapper faced arrest and was swiftly brought to justice. News of the capture spread, bringing a mix of relief and outrage throughout the community. Mary watched the man being led away in handcuffs, a cold shadow of the torment he had caused. Despite her anger, she felt a strange sense of closure, knowing he could no longer harm Ethan or any other child. Ethan, still fragile from his ordeal, found safety in Mary's arms. Tears of fear slowly gave way to tentative smiles as he began to experience a world filled with kindness and love. Mary's heart ached at the scars she couldn't see, but she remained steadfast in her commitment to help him heal. John, ever the steady presence, assured Mary that healing was a journey, not a destination. Together, they would navigate the road ahead, filled with hope but mindful of the challenges. In the quiet aftermath, Mary felt the heavy weight of years begin to lift. Though the past could never be erased, the future held promise, a chance to rebuild what was lost and create new memories together. The first days after Ethan's return were a whirlwind of emotions. Mary and Ethan found themselves navigating a new, fragile reality, one filled with cautious joy, uncertainty, and unspoken fears. The boy's world was unfamiliar, and so was Mary's. Ethan struggled to reconcile the love he once knew with the stranger he had become. Simple routines felt overwhelming. Familiar faces sometimes triggered confusion or anxiety. Mary approached each moment with patience, understanding that healing was not linear. Small victories, a shared meal, a bedtime story, a tentative hug, became milestones in their delicate reunion. Yet moments of withdrawal reminded Mary of the deep wounds beneath the surface. Family and friends offered support, but Mary knew the true work was between her and Ethan. Together, they began rebuilding trust, learning to communicate without words and to find comfort in presence alone. Though the path was uncertain, Mary held on to hope that with time, patience, and love, their fractured bond could grow stronger. Each day was a step forward, a promise of healing yet to come. As the weeks passed, Ethan slowly began to confront the truth of his past. Memories once buried deep started surfacing, faint images of home, his mother's voice, and fragments of a life he had almost forgotten. The realization that he was indeed Mary's son brought a mixture of relief and fear. He grappled with questions that felt too heavy for a child. Who was he really? Could he trust his own memories? The pain of lost time lingered, casting shadows over moments that should have been filled with laughter and innocence. Mary stood by him through every tear and hesitation, offering reassurance without pressure. She understood that reclaiming his identity was not a single moment, but a gradual journey. Together, they faced the challenge of piecing together a shattered past while building a future. Ethan's courage to face his true self, despite the pain, marked the beginning of healing. In this fragile process, mother and son found strength in each other's presence, hope blossoming even amidst uncertainty. As the night deepened, Mary looked out the window at the stars glittering over Portland's skyline. A gentle breeze stirred the curtains, carrying with it a quiet promise of renewal. She turned back to Ethan, who was now peacefully asleep beside her. Their journey had been fraught with pain, uncertainty, and fear, but it was far from over. Yet in this moment, the past seemed less heavy, replaced by a fragile but unbreakable hope. Mary whispered softly, "No matter what comes, we face it together. We are family, stronger than ever." Ethan's small hand found hers in the dark, a silent answer to a mother's vow. The future stretched ahead, full of unknowns but also endless possibilities, and as the first light of dawn began to paint the horizon, their story, one of loss, love, and resilience, was only just beginning. One quiet evening, Mary and Ethan sat together by the fireplace, the soft glow casting gentle shadows around the room. For the first time in years, words flowed easily between them, not forced but natural and warm. Ethan reached out and took Mary's hand, his small fingers curling around hers with a newfound trust. "Mom," he whispered, "I'm scared sometimes, but I want to be with you." Tears welled in Mary's eyes as she pulled him close. "I'm here, Ethan. We'll face everything together." In that moment, the weight of years apart seemed to lift. The scars remained, but love filled the spaces between them, healing what time had broken. A small wooden box rested on the table between them, a gift Ethan had found in the attic, carved with delicate patterns they both recognized from old family heirlooms. It symbolized a bond that survived darkness and distance. As they shared a quiet smile, the future felt less daunting. Here, in the warmth of each other's presence, a new chapter began, one defined not by loss, but by hope and the strength to move forward.